Hello and welcome to Kids Camp Sunday School. I'm Eden.
And I'm Sarah.
And we got our equipment issues figured out and we're back on the computer this morning.
Yay.
We're going to dive right into our story this morning.
I see what you did there.
It's one that you might know. I'm going to read it from the I Am Story Bible. And today we are reading Walking on Water. Okay. Soon it would be night. Go back to the boat now, Jesus told his disciples, and head back across the lake. I'll say goodbye to all the people here. After the disciples rode away and Jesus sent the crowd home, he climbed up the mountainside by himself to pray. It was dark, but Jesus was still praying. The disciples were a long way from land, but Jesus could see that they were having trouble. A strong wind blew against the boat and made it hard for them to row. Jesus prayed a little while longer. Then he climbed down the mountain and went to join his disciples. But Jesus didn't go in a boat. He walked on the water. The disciples saw Jesus coming toward them, but they didn't know it was him. "Look, a ghost," they cried out. "Have courage," Jesus called to them. "I am with you. Don't be afraid." Peter, one of the disciples, said, "Lord, if it is you, tell me to walk to you on the water." Jesus smiled. "Come on then, Peter," he said, and stepped on. Peter climbed up on the side of the boat, then climbed down and stepped onto the water. Would he sink? No. Peter kept his eyes on Jesus and started walking towards him on the water. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, 4 steps. But then Peter looked away from Jesus and looked at all the waves instead, and he felt afraid and began to sink. "Lord, save me," he cried. Jesus reached out his hand and pulled Peter up. "Oh, Peter," he said, "your faith is small. Why did you doubt?" Together they got onto the boat. And when they did, the wind stopped blowing, and suddenly the boat was at the shore. Peter and all the disciples worshipped Jesus right there in the boat. "Peter, you are the Son of God," they said.
Thank you, Eden.
You're welcome.
So there are some things that we need to remember or know before we start talking about what we're going to talk about today. What Eden just read, if you caught it, it happens right after our story from last week, immediately right after. So Jesus just did what? Do you remember our story from last week, Eden?
He fed 5,000 people.
Yeah, so he did this amazing thing, and Jesus sends his disciples off in a boat, but he stays behind to say goodbye to the crowd. It probably took a long time because 5,000 people.
Yeah, 5,000
5,000
people is a lot.
Yeah, and so if you've ever had a party at your house or your parents have had a party at your house, you know that they make sure to say goodbye to everyone who comes. Or if you have seen at church or noticed at church that sometimes the pastor stands at the back of the sanctuary to kind of greet people on their way out. Everyone had just heard Jesus talk these amazing things, say these amazing teachings, and they saw him do this amazing miracle. So I can imagine they all wanted to say goodbye to him or to have some kind of contact with him. And so this is kind of what was happening. They wanted to get in touch with this extraordinary person that was teaching them about all kinds of things they'd never heard before. So Jesus was saying goodbye to the crowds. And while this is happening, he sent the disciples away. And they got on a boat. We heard that in the story. And Jesus did something while they were on the boat. Do you remember what he did?
Yeah, he walked on water.
Well, yeah, that's coming up. But before he did that, he went up a mountainside and he prayed. He spent some time in prayer.
He prayed.
For a long time he prayed. But then he was like, I got to go meet up with my friends. And the friends were already far out in the boat. But Jesus, instead of taking a boat, he did what Eden just said. He walked on water. He just walked out there. And this was really scary when the disciples saw him. They thought it was a ghost. And so Jesus said, "Don't be afraid, it's me." And we know that what happened next is that Peter said, "If that's really you, Lord, tell me to come out there." And so Jesus said, "Come on out." And Peter did start walking out to Jesus. And for a while, it was going really good. And then he sank. And then Jesus got him back in the boat. And as soon as he got back in the boat, all the storm and all the waves and all the wind calmed down, and everyone did something together. What did they do?
They worshiped Jesus.
They worshiped Jesus. Walking on water would be impossible if you tried to do it. Like if you went out to a pool or a lake or even the ocean and you tried to just start walking, you would sink.
Yep, sink like a rock.
Sink like a rock. Peter, when Jesus said, hey, come out and walk on water, Peter probably thought, oh, this is impossible. But Jesus had a habit of making the impossible possible. Remember, they had just saw Jesus do something amazing. They had just saw Jesus do what?
Feed 5,000 people with 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread.
Yeah. So when Peter realized it was Jesus out there, once Jesus said come out, he didn't hesitate because he knew that he could, what he was about to do wasn't going to make any sense, but he knew that Jesus was there. So when he got out of the boat and walked on water, it was because of Jesus. So check this out. If we take this rock, which represents Peter and all of us, we know on our own it's going to sink right down to the bottom. But if we take this string that we have here that represents Jesus,
It'll float.
and we tie it to the rock, you guys will see that we can make impossible things possible.
I don't know. It might not float.
So we can take, with Jesus, the rock can be on top of the water
Yeah.
because of Jesus. What happened when Peter took his eyes off Jesus?
He sunk.
He sunk. When he started to sink, Jesus rescued him and he helped him. But if he kept his focus on Jesus in the first place, he wouldn't have been sinking. Just like Jesus called Peter to do the impossible, walk on water, he calls us to do impossible things too. Now, our impossible might not look like Peter's. Jesus might not say, go walk on water. Instead, he might ask us to do something else like feed hungry people who don't live anywhere around us.
Yeah.
He might ask us to be kind to people that it's hard to be kind to. He might ask us to raise money for kids just like you guys who have a lot less than you guys have. He might ask you to be friends with someone who's difficult to be friends with, or to stand up for the kid at school that everyone is mean to. And those things can seem impossible sometimes. But on our own, they are impossible. But with Jesus, we can do impossible things. So with Jesus, we can do the things that he asks us to do. And we can know that he's with us. Just like Peter could do the impossible with Jesus, we can too. So when we choose to walk with Jesus and keep our eyes on him, he makes impossible things possible. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
So we're going to say a prayer. Dear Jesus, thank you so much for making impossible things possible. Thank you for trusting us, even though we may be young, to do things that are big things for your kingdom, God. We know that sometimes they're hard and sometimes they seem impossible, but with you, we know that we can do it. We ask for your help in all the things, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. And if you picked up your take-home packet at church, you probably noticed a paper plate and a brown piece of construction paper. In addition to the activity sheets, take out the plate and the construction paper. If you didn't pick up the packet, you can use some similar supplies you have at home. Look for a paper plate and a piece of construction paper that's not blue. If you don't have paper plates, you can use a plain white piece of paper and follow the instructions for the paper plate. You will also need some scissors, glue, and 2 markers, crayons, or colored pencils, 1 blue and 1 black one. Start by taking a paper plate and coloring it blue to look like water. We did this ahead of time to show you guys. Next, trace your foot on the brown paper and cut it out using the black marker, crayon, or whatever, and write on the foot cut out, I walk with Jesus.
We actually used our blue marker for this.
So it might not. It kind of looks brownish, but you know, it's good. Glue that to the foot. Glue the foot onto the blue paper plate and let the glue dry. We have our tacky glue here. Can you help me open this?
Sure.
And make sure you let the glue dry or it might peel off. So we're just going to get some glue on here.
I think this should be enough.
Here. And then here's the glue. And I'm going to stick it on the paper plate. Maybe press it on firmly.
Mm-hmm.
And then there it is. And you have a reminder that when you walk with Jesus, and when you do, he can help you do any of the things that seem impossible.
Yeah, good job with that craft, Eden. You mentioned about a Sunday school take-home packet. In case you haven't heard, we are providing some take-home packets to help you have a more interactive Sunday school experience at home. So they're going to be available each week at the church. They'll be out there starting Fridays, and then they'll be out there till Sunday afternoon around 3:30 or so. Now, you can get them anytime in that time frame. They'll be just on the porch. There's a bin that says Kids Kingdom Take-Home Sunday School Supplies or Materials. I can't remember what I put on the thing. But you just go, open the bin, grab a packet. It's one per kid, so it's not one per family, one per kid. So if you have 5 kids at home, take 5 packets.
I even think the packets are really fun, and I'm going to probably do them later today.
Yeah, some of the stuff in the packet this week, there's a lot of activity sheets. So you might not want to do all the activity sheets during Sunday school time. You might want to save some throughout the week and kind of remember and review the story a little bit each day throughout the week. It's up to you how you use the activity sheets. But if you can't get to the church and need help getting the packet, you can let me know using the christianed@pfumc.org email, or you can just give me a call and we'll figure out the best way to get the packet and the information to you. So again, pick up anytime between Friday, probably around noon on Friday till 3:30 Sunday afternoon. They'll probably be out there a little bit before noon on Friday, so sometime Friday mid-morning. So just go and pick those up at church, and you'll be all set to do Sunday school with us at home.
And before we wrap things up today, let's go check out this week's memory verse. It's from Matthew 19, verse 26. Jesus looked at them carefully and said, "It's impossible for human beings, but all things are possible for God." It sounds a lot like our story today, doesn't it?
It sure does. It sure does.
Well, that's all for today. Have a great week. See you next time. Bye.